Hi, welcome to episode 17 of Music is None of Our Business.
We just said it was number 18, you
fucking
dimwit.
hell. Right, it's like, Jesus Christ. Hello, welcome to episode 18 of Music is None of Our Business. That's the second go at the intro because I got the numbers right again and said I said to Jake, this is 18, isn't it? He said yes. So I went ahead and said, welcome to episode 17 of
but they will know that. They will know that because I'm leaving that in. I'm not going to cut it out.
My diminishing mental faculties. Oh, good God.
Oh,
ridiculous,
dear,
isn't it?
How do you get through the day?
I have no idea. I'd often sit here thinking, oh my God, how do I get here? It's 6 o'clock and I haven't fallen off anything, forgotten too much, trod on a cat, eaten something I shouldn't. Yeah, so tonight is 5 great gigs. So not the 5 greatest gigs we've ever been to, but 5 that are worth having a chat about, I think. Mine are in chronological order, and his aren't, he's just told me. And I'm like, oh,
nobody, neither of us had a conversation about any routine or order.
I just thought something with, gigs would be in order of from when you started. I don't know.
You thought wrong.
I know. I obviously thought. I always think wrong. The fuck. Okay, so who's go? So is it me?
Oh, I can't remember. You can if you like. I can't recall where we started last time. But,
no, I can't.
It was only last week, after all.
So just out of curiosity, what was your first? Have you included your first ever gig?
No.
What was your first gig? Was it the Damned?
I think it was, yes. 81, I think, with the Anti-Nowhere League, yeah.
That's right, yes. Mine was the Stranglers. So they're good starting points.
They're good starting points.
Yeah. I love live music. I just can't get enough of it. At the moment as well, I've been going to so many gigs just recently in the last few years.
Yeah. I've tailed off in the more recent years. I think a combination of living up here now, I don't really know anybody else that would want to go and see the same bands that I want to go and see. But also it means I'm driving on my own to watch a band, standing waiting for the bloody support acts to drive home again.
See, I go to more on my own these days. Than I was very much the same as you for a long while, and I thought, if I'm going on my own, it's not going to be the same. But I kind of preferred it, and I just, and my friends. I mean, my friend Gary, who I usually go with, his hearing's just getting worse and worse from bands. I think from loud music, and as much as we wear, headphones, it doesn't always do the trick, does it?
No, well, I've never been to a gig and worn headphones or earplugs.
Not headphones, earplugs. Yeah, I had to. I saw. I think I've probably mentioned it. I saw Dinosaur Jr. About probably 2009. Completely fucked my hearing. Completely. I've had mild tinnitus ever since. And it's never. No, it's not. So I've got some proper. I've got earplugs recommended by Mogwai's Roadies.
Okay.
So I thought, you can't.
It's a good recommendation as any.
It is, yes. So I think I've got Alpine ones, and they're great because it doesn't cut that much out, but I'm not deaf as a post for about a week after.
They must be good in the mountains.
Very good. Very good. I'll mark that one. Hold on. I'll give that one 1.2 out of 10, I think, just for effort.
Just for effort, yeah. I made a stab at it.
I fucking wouldn't bother if not if that's going to be the quality of your jokes. So we will have to, yeah. Anyway, the first one I'm going to chat about was actually my second, the second gig I ever went to, and as I said, my first gig was the Stranglers, and I've probably covered some of this previously, but I had some cousins who, three cousins who lived nearby, one of whom lived in London. This would have been 1978. And I was round there quite often, as you were in those days, with cousins and relatives. And London-based cousin came home, and the other two were playing prog music, and he was sneering and said, "Oh, I suppose you like this." And I was being very show off and said, "No, well, actually, I went to see the Stranglers lot," and he was quite shocked because I was all of 12 at the time, I think. I was 13, and he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to see the Clash next month. Do you want to come?" And I went, "Yes, please." Yeah, he came and picked me up with one other cousin in tow. Said to my dad, as he got his ticket money, and my dad just took it and went, "No, how much?" So my dad gave him £2, £2 to see the Clash. £2, two English pounds to see the Clash, and off we went, and yeah, pretty much changed my life, I think. I think the support bands, there was a band called The Innocents, who I remember very little of, other than they had a white sheet tied to a keyboard stand with The Innocents painted in black paint.
Okay.
Closely followed by the Slits, who by that time had Budgie as the drummer. Again, kind of don't remember that much about the Slits, but I do remember thinking, bloody hell, what a racket. It was quite amazing.
And the little bird playing the drums. I mean, what more could you want?
Yes, little Budgie. 2.5 out of 10 for that one. I'm going to score every fucking joke you tried. And I'm going by the first two. I'm going to score them really fucking lowly as well.
Yeah, that's
Good
only
God.
you only feel threatened.
Oh, take more than that to threaten me. My joke pedigree is beyond reproach.
Oh, your prowess at humour, yes.
Yeah, so then the next one, The Clash, came on. This was around the time when they had a big backdrop of all the flags of loads of nations. I don't know if it was anything specific, but just it's just a huge backdrop of flags. Topper Head, the drummer, was wearing his Bruce Lee jumpsuit at that time, the yellow one with the black stripes, as also worn by Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Mick Jones, Paul Simon and Joe Strummer were kind of still in that zippy bondage, zip trousers type of clothing, and and they excuse me, they came on and let go, and it was amazing. I don't remember I remember they started with Safe European Home from Give Me Enough Rope. It was the Give Me Enough Rope tour. It was I think they called it the Sort It Out tour, because there was something going on with their manager Bernie Rhodes at the time.
Okay.
And I always remembered Joe Strummer coming on for the encore with an old ice cream. You know what the usherettes in the cinemas used to wear?
Little trailet thing.
Ice cream tray.
Yeah,
And
I know.
he'd filled it with water and said, anyone want an ice cream? And chucked it. And I had this memory in my head for ages and thinking, did he do that? And then a few years ago, I actually found a bootleg tape of the gig, and he did. I was like, I fast forwarded straight to the encore. Yes, he did say that. But it was amazing. It was such an experience. I kind of was down relatively near the front, and there was a huge gang of lads who'd come down from Newcastle. And they were all big chaps, and I was quite tall, but I looked like a rake. I was so skinny, and they kind of just grabbed hold of me and said, "I won't do the accent because I get told off for doing accents." But got me down the front, and we were jumping around, and I had a whale of a time. And then I found 30 pence on the way out on the floor.
Whoa!
And bought myself a poster for 30 pence, which I sold a couple of years ago for about 150 quid to some bloke from Italy, yeah. But yeah, and I think I mentioned it before, but one of the best things about going to the gigs at that time was, like, I was a specky nerdy, gangly, I was about 6 foot when I was 14, or And but lots of the older lads from school spotted me there, and would kind of come up to me the next day and go, "Did I see you at the Stranglers? Did I see you at the Clash last night?" And he'd be going, "Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah, I was there." "Oh, yeah, I was there. Down the front and everything." And all my friends were kind of like, "Oh my god, he knows the fifth years. He knows the big which was great. God, that's a hell of a boost for your self-esteem as well. And then kind of met a few more friends my age who were into punk, and and I was a punk rocker then.
That was it.
Raid my dad's old shirts and get my dad's old shirts and cut them up. Which he was obviously pin them back up. He was over the moon about that.
What's so keen about you doing the same with his wife once, though?
No, especially when I warm over my head. But yeah, it was that was great. But it was a hell of a gig. Listening to the tape of it, or the recording of it, even though it sounds like it's recorded in a wind tunnel. What
was the venue? I think you said
that was at the Arena. That was in the Arena.
Oh, it was the Arena. For some reason, I just kind of thought it was London up until that moment.
No. Peterborough Arena was an old. I think it was a roller skating.
I think it was. It was just a big shed, really.
It was a proper shithole. But I saw the Stranglers there. Saw the Clash there. Saw Stiff Little Fingers.
The Damned.
1979. Damned. Saw them 79 and then 81 when you were there.
Yeah. Fields the Nephilim, I think I saw there as well.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know they played.
Yeah.
God,
I don't know why I'd gone, but boredom perhaps.
You're a secret goth.
I haven't got any reason to struggle to deny that.
I like the Fields of Nephilim. They were okay bands, aren't they?
I haven't got any of their records. I had a
few LPs over the year. I had a girlfriend who was a goth back in the late 80s. So lots of Sisters of Mercy and Fields of the Nephilim. She had a massive collection of Sisters of Mercy bootlegs.
Okay.
Because they were the most bootlegged bands. The amount of live tapes there were of the Sisters of Mercy, I remember back around that time. Demos and live, and just stuff they'd recorded, rehearsal tape. Everyone were proper, obsessed with Sisters of Mercy. But yeah. So that's number one. Peterborough, 1978, The Clash.
Nice. Good character building stuff.
Oh yes, I put hairs on my chest. That did.
And on your face at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, I could do with a bit of a shake actually.
Okay, mine number one then. This is 1st of December 1996. And we're at the Garage in Holborn, which is a venue that we've mentioned a few times in the past, and I think we've both seen quite a number of bands down there. But this on the 1st of December 1996 was a total performance as opposed to just a gig. Gig doesn't really sum it up, because it was a truly multi-dimensional experience, because German legends Faust were up and running again after years of inactivity and sporadic activity since they formed in 1971. Suddenly they got their act together, they got the shit together, and they were coming to the Garage, and it promised a great deal, and I think it delivered more than that, because we got there. We walked in, and the first thing, it was all very gloomy, and the first thing you noticed that there were huge sheets hanging down from the ceiling all the way to the floor. And then you noticed, almost instantaneously, that the stage had been surrounded with a big steel cage, so you couldn't approach the stage because it was all behind a steel cage, and the cage extended out into the auditorium floor as well, so you couldn't actually get close to very, very close to the stage, because in front of the stage there was a load of equipment as well as on the stage. And to be honest, the whole array of equipment and instrumentation, I mean, the stage, I'd never seen it like that before. It was absolutely crammed with equipment. There were drums there wasn't a drum kit as such. There were just drums around, big chunks of metal. There were coils and coils of wires, guitars propped up, keyboards, unknown electronic devices, power tools, oxyacetylene cutting equipment, gas bottles, an arc welder, a cement mixer, assorted scrap everywhere. And stuck in the middle of the auditorium floor, we'll call it the dance floor, was a great big industrial threshing machine, which you had to kind of walk around. So it was already awesome before it started. Awesome, confusing, and potentially very dangerous. It was clear that the steel cage around the stage was there for a purpose, i.e. so people don't fall on an angle grinder. But it was not a very substantive cage. I think it was more for show than anything else. So there was no support band, understandably. And there wouldn't have been room for them to put anything because the stage was absolutely full. But it started off, excuse me, Jean-Hervé Perron came on, the rest of the band came on. They muttered a few words of introduction, very happy chappies, muttered a few words of introduction, but then launched into one of my favourite Faust tracks, Hurricane, with Zappy Diermeyer started bashing out this rhythm on a combination of a snare drum, chunks of metal, cymbals and stuff like that. And Perron's picked up this battered twin neck guitar and started this bass, which was just basically one note and two notes oscillating. Steve Lobdell, who was drafted in, not a permanent member of Faust, but drafted in on guitar, started creating this feedback, and Hans Joachim Ermler's keys and electronics started swirling around as well. And Hurricane's a great it's one of those great trance rock repetitive things. Just love it to bits. It goes on, just keeps going. Brilliant, but then you realised why there was all this equipment on the dance floor in front of the stage, because they'd invited artist Insel Winkler to come along, and she's an avant-garde sculptor. So from the start of the gig and then all the way through, she proceeded to create a junk metal sculpture. So whilst the band are hammering away, you've got the audience are being constantly showered with a barrage of sparks from her angle grinder and cutting stuff, momentarily blinded with arc welding flashes and oxyacetylene cutting flashes. It was really quite something. So after Hurricane had finished, after an extended version of Hurricane, Perron took all his clothes off, every shred of clothing. He climbed out of the cage off the stage and into the audience, come into the audience, and we were standing just to the left of the stage in front of the speakers, and we'd noticed that close by to us a big wall had been covered in plain white 12-inch record covers. Couldn't really work out why, but we were about to find out, because Perron, completely naked, then proceeded to cover himself in paint and throw himself at these record covers to create an art. And because we were standing quite close by, we all got covered in paint as well. And the band carried on anyway without him. So you got this thundering noise, this arc welding and sparks, and right next to you is this naked German madman covered in paint, throwing himself left, right, and centre. So it was a bit surreal. Anyway, on it went. Then a bit later on, they started up the threshing machine, and the music's still pounding on. Obviously, this is later on in the gig, and Perron, who had now put some trousers on, was chucking sackloads of leaves into this threshing machine. So we've got this barrage of noise, this industrial sculptress doing her thing, and it feels like there's a hurricane now in the garage, because this thing is blasting out and blasting wind and leaves at us all. Then they started up the cement mixer, and the cement mixer.
This is the greatest gig we've ever. Then they started up the cement mixer,
which had just been filled up with all manner of detritus and stuff, and that's whirling and clonking away. Perron gets a sledgehammer, and there's this huge metal tank that he starts just whacking this thing with a sledgehammer, and Zappy Diermeyer, he's got two lump hammers and starts just tapping out or smashing out a rhythm on these tubes. So it was an all-round experience. The close of the gig was equally impressive, because as they were performing the last track, I can't remember what the last track was, but Perron set fire to all of this white powder.
Was it, I've got a brand new cement mixer and I'll give you the key?
Like many things, if you just get some sound going over and over again, it's brilliant. But he's got all this white powder at the front of the stage, and he set fire to it. And they were playing on, and the arc welding was going on, and they were playing on. And this white powder started to burn and throw up increasingly dense clouds of white smoke. And you're kind of standing there, and the band, after a few minutes, completely disappears. This wasn't dry ice kind of smoke. This was thick, dense smoke. So the band completely disappeared behind it, and then it started just rolling out into the auditorium, and you could see panic on people's faces. What do we do now? Kind of thing on people's faces, because you genuinely couldn't see anything. So eventually we all started filing out, and the last moments of that gig, as we stumbled out along with billows of cloud out of all the exits, covered in paint, leaves and paint in our hair, burn marks on our clothing from hot sparks, we came out just as the fire brigade turned up.
For the encore.
For the encore, yes, and they were there obviously because of the smoke. And there is a video of this entire gig. It's called "Nobody Knows If It Ever Happened." It certainly did, and I was there. And you do see me and Al. Brief flashes of us, but at the start of the video, it starts with the smoke and standing at the exit and the fire engine, and there stands Tim Cox right in front of the camera.
Of course. Who else?
But it's the kind of gig, it certainly couldn't happen again. It was madly dangerous, I think, and they wouldn't have got the insurance to do another one if they could. But it was certainly a memorable moment.
Health and safety gone mad. Health and safety gone mad.
I don't think anybody was injured. And when they've been asked what this smoke was, we kind of thought, was it gunpowder? What was it? But they've never said what it was. They just kind of said, "Don't worry, it's harmless." But it was quite unnerving, as you kind of lost any sense of where you are in the place. But it was a good gig.
I can imagine. Yeah, sounds it. I can't believe I didn't go. So when was that? Did you say 1990?
96.
96.
1st of December.
Bloody, that's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a bit depressing, isn't it?
It is a bit, yeah.
Goodness me.
But you're not a big fan of Faust anyway, though, are you? So you might not have gone anyway.
I haven't really listened to Faust that often. In fact, no, I don't. I probably always confuse them with other German bands of the of that time. That's all kind of krautrock. That all comes under, doesn't it? I suppose
that's what it was called. I don't know whether that's perhaps a slightly pejorative term, krautrock. I don't know whether the bands from German, those kind of bands, Cluster, Harmonia, Can. I don't know whether they embraced that or whether that was just kind of like, these English.
No, probably not. I think that's one of those. I think that's kind of a bit like shoegaze or something. It's just something invented just to cover a whole huge multitude of bands who just all happen to be around at the same time and in krautrock.
Yeah, because they don't sound the same. I mean, Faust sound nothing like Cluster or Harmonia, or just
yeah. I think it always
umbrella.
did them a disservice. I mean, because you're lumping in people like that with Kraftwerk and various other bands and they were all quite different. Can, they always got put under the krautrock, and they weren't particularly, didn't particularly sound like any of those others.
No, I don't know what you kind of get more modern bands or more recent bands that are referred to as being krautrock. Stereolab sometimes get, they sometimes get called krautrock. I think because their sound is a bit like Neu, and Neu were krautrock. So it
was all. I mean, I was always kind of assumed that, or was always kind of told that krautrock was for that motoric beat. That steady beat of which Stereolab. Always, it's rarely changing, is it?
Yeah, and Neu a lot like that as well, but not Faust or Harmonia or Cluster or they're not. They don't have that motoric beat.
No, absolutely.
But anyway, it's all good.
Have you heard the Can live LPs that they've been releasing?
I think I've got one or two of them. I do quite like Can.
Yeah, they're amazing. They are. They're really, really good. I think I've got 2 or 3 of them actually. I might have 4. But they were all mastered from bootlegs, weren't they?
I don't know. I mean, I would guess it's another band that was bootlegged quite heavily.
Yeah, well, there was a huge interest in because their live sets were never the same. No. There was always some nerdy, hairy bloke with a tape recorder. Must have been one of those fucking great big reel-to-reel ones as well. I would have thought, given the age of some of them. But there was always someone there recording the live shows, and there's a whole library of them. And Mute were kind of tarting them up with permission of the surviving members or member of Cam and releasing them, and they were quite amazing. That's the kind of thing that probably 30 years ago I wouldn't have appreciated at all. Probably 20 years ago I wouldn't have. But now I kind of I really like Can. I think they're excellent. Were excellent band.
One of their finest albums, Tago Mago. I don't know what that means, but I was in where was I? Somewhere on the Mediterranean some years ago, and there was a small warship, and it was called Tago Mago. I have no idea what it means, but it was a weird moment.
Could have been Targo Margo.
Or Targo Margo. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it was spelt the same.
Garage, farage, whatever.
Tomato, potato, potato. Let's call the whole thing off.
Oh dear. Okay, so my next one is from 1990, and a friend of mine had gone off to do some work on a gig, and rang me the night before and said, do you fancy coming to this gig tomorrow? I want someone to keep my girlfriend company. She's driving down my brother and his girlfriend. Do you fancy coming down? I was like, yeah, all right then, And he said, I said, what time are we leaving? You're going to have to leave at 5:30 in the morning.
Dear.
I said, what? He said, yes. Well, if you're coming all the way to Spike Island in the north of England, you're going to have to get up dead early. So I went, oh, okay then. And that's how I got to go to Spike Island to see the Stone Roses for the inadvertently attending the gig of a generation. Because I needed to keep my mate's girlfriend company. Hell of a day, absolute hell of a day. We had to, as I say, we set up at 5:30. We had to drive all the way up to was it Wigan or Widnes? Wigan,
wasn't
I think. Widnes, was it? Yeah, Spike Island. And on the way there, we drove through a swarm of bees. Had to do an emergency pull over on the edge of the motorway and open all the doors so the bees could fly out. And then and when we got to Spike Island, and we went to the main entrance and said, we're on the guest list, and they said, oh yeah, you can't come in this way, you have to go to the guest entrance. And we went, oh okay. And they said, where's that? And just kind of pointed off vaguely into the distance, which I'm actually doing now. I'm pointing off vaguely into the distance.
You're like a human compass.
And so we wandered off down this path, and bearing in mind that this was a massive 27,000 people, we wandered off down this path, turned a corner, and there's a bloke with a trestle table and a checklist, and we went, hello mate, we're on the guest list. And he went, okay, what's your name? We told him, and he went, yeah, there you go. So we all got a ticket, and we got a backstage pass. This was an access all areas pass, because obviously he was on the crew, and we had to get into the very backstage to see him. Unfortunately, they hadn't got round to laminating any of the backstage passes, so they're basically little rectangular pieces of paper with the Stone Roses Spike Island access all area, the big black square in the middle. And as we found later on, they stopped people using them because they thought someone might photocopy them. So you're on this industrial island in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they thought, oh, someone might get in, see the passes, sneak out, run to the nearest fucking library, and photocopy. So anyway, so we had all manner of shenanigans trying to get in and out after a certain time. But when we got there, we walked in, we went, met our friend, had lunch, a couple of beers, and then just wandered around. And we were in the backstage area with all of the celebs who were there, and there were loads of them. I'm pretty sure I saw Soul to Soul in there. New Order were there, I think. I'm sure I saw Lush there. We just wandered around, milling around in all these people. And by the time the show itself, we'd gone out, and there was a big sound tower, and there were 3 levels. So we flashed our passes, got onto the sound tower. With our friend who was on the crew, and he'd set up on the very top of the sound tower. He'd set up his video camera because he'd bought a video camera because they were filming all the work they'd done. He was putting up the stage, and the lighting guy said, "Oh, could you film the gig for us so we can see how it looked?" So he's got his video camera there. We're on the level below, with our legs dangling over, with our arms kind of on a metal bar, just watching the gig from there. And in all honesty, it wasn't the best gig ever. The sound was a bit ropey. The PA wasn't really up to it. But it was such an event. It was, you knew at the time when you were there, you looked back from the sound tower and there were fucking bodies and bodies and bodies as far back as you could see. It was a terrible venue. It was shit to get to. It was a bastard to get around. There was no, there was nothing there. There were very few amenities there. But what a day! What a day! He showed me. He videoed the whole thing. To everyone's knowledge, there's no physical film of the gig.
So that's the only record of it, the only video record of it.
He owns a video cassette of the whole of the Spike Island gig, and he's been humming and hawing about what to do with it for years. He's spoken to all the individual members of the Stone Roses, and they'd all said, "Do what you want with it," And I think he's licensed out odd little snippets to various films and that. But yeah, he's got the whole gig, and I've seen it, and it's not a bad. I've got a feeling he was up there with us, and I think he zoomed in every now and again, so it's not completely static. And the sound on the video was pretty decent, as I remember. And I used to say to him, "Oh, bung us a copy off." He's like, "No fucking way, no fucking way. I'm not doing any copies of it," which is completely understandable. So anyway, after the gig, we went back to the crew hotel and I'm pretty sure the band were there as well, but they were just, there were people all over the place, and then we ended up driving back that evening. But yeah, okay. hell of a gig, hell of a thing to be able to say, I was accidentally at the biggest, and weirdly enough, 7 years later, when Oasis did their gigs at Nebworth, I was working in. It was just before I finished working at the hotel I used to work at, and one of the managers who used to work there had left a message with his wife, who did still work there, to say, ask Dave if he wants to come and work at Oasis. Oh, wow. So I did. I worked both days in the bar, and they closed the bars before Oasis came on, and we all just wandered out and watched both nights of the Oasis gig, which is another massive. Yeah. So I kind of had this Zelig like thing where I just turn up at these at these musical milestones, just kind of by accident.
Is that how you
really.
got a taste for doing this working gig type thing? Because you still do that, don't you?
Yeah, well, I happened to see this was the gigs that I do when I work was kind of it was a bit of a cure for anxiety. I'd gone through years of anxiety without even realising I had anxiety. I just thought, that just perturbs me a little bit. And just to get, and it was that kind of travelling down to London, just doing things out of my comfort zone, really. And I just saw these someone advertising, someone mentioned it to me. You can work for free at gigs. So I tried one. I did Nick Cave at All Points East, and I had a fantastic day. Met loads of people. Buzzed people's tickets. Boop, yeah, in you go, mate. And that I had a wonderful day. It was great fun, and got to see Nick Cave for free, and also nipped off and have a lunch break watching The Smile do a set as well.
I love the fact that you felt it necessary to do an impression of the bleeping machine that you use. Yeah,
boop, boop. Yeah, because I do quite a good one. That's why.
Well, I can't say I've got no reference.
And that is great fun, and like I say, get to see good bands for nothing. I did Aphex Twin. Yeah. That was bonkers. That was a really good one. That was worked Aphex Twin. Did a couple of Bruce Springsteens, and did 3 last year at British Summertime, and then All Points East looks good next year. So I'm going to volunteer for 2 or 3 of them. It's all volunteer. You pay a £10 deposit. And then you just do 7 or 8 hour shift doing and whatnot. Obviously they do have the machines that do that. You don't have to do the noise yourself. They have these silent machines, and when you click it, you have to go boop. Yeah, there you go, mate. Cheers, done that. Boop. So I hope to do a few more next year.
Good. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but that's obviously what put me. That's obviously what made me think of doing.
Yeah, I wondered. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yes.
My number 2 then. It's 2003. I can't remember the exact date or time in 2003. I suppose I could have easily looked it up.
Well, I haven't bothered. I've done years, so I couldn't.
Well, I didn't on this one. So
I think the Clash was October and Stone Roses was May. I think. If you want,
the first one was the 1st of December, so I got that one pinned down. But anyway, this one was 2003. Camber Sands on the south coast of Sussex. It's a funny old place.
Oh.
It's a funny old place. It's a big beach, big dunes, and there is a Pontins holiday camp there.
I actually stayed there when I was very young. Mum and Dad took me. On the holiday, yes. Don't remember much about it, but I know we went to Camber Sands.
I've been there a few times, never holidaying. I can't remember much about it.
No.
But I can remember this one. I can remember some of this one.
You drug crazed fiend.
But there's an organisation, All Tomorrow's Parties, ATP. For many years, they have been finding ways to basically take over big holiday camps such as Pontins in Camber Sands and Minehead and elsewhere, and turn this 1960s throwback family holiday village into a music festival where you have a chalet instead of a tent. So it's an interesting concept. It's a bizarre one. The first time I went, I think, was a shellac curated event, and I remember going down that first time, and everybody was getting food and so on, and I didn't bother. I thought, well, there'll be food there. So I just turned up at Camber Sands with a bottle of whiskey and some chemicals, thinking there'd be food you could buy there. No food establishments whatsoever, and you can't get out and come back in again. So it's quite hungry.
Really? Yeah. I didn't realise they didn't do food
they don't.
stalls
There's
there.
nothing. Not a burger van. Van. So all the hunger was treated with copious amounts of alcohol and chemicals that weekend. But this was 2003, and we went down there for the Autechre curated event. And Autechre, fabulous band. I'll come back to those in another session, I'm sure. But it's got to be said about this holiday camp to start with that it is the dingiest chalet. So, I mean, obviously it was in its prime when you went there when you were younger.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh dear.
I'm sure they were quite shitholey when we were there as well.
So 4 of us in this chalet, and because I'd driven down there, I was lucky enough to get one of the 2 beds in a little room. A bed's a little bit of a grandiose way of saying a wafer thin piece of mattress chucked on the floor, I think. And one of us had to sleep on the floor, and the other one on a couch. And 2 of us had these mattresses, but unfortunately, just right outside the window for the little bedroom was what we called the nuclear powered light, because despite the curtains being drawn, this bright, stunningly bright light shone straight in the window, not a chance to get any sleep. And it was a dingy place. One of the things we were handed when we got there was a list of the cost of replacing every single thing in the chalet should we damage it or steal it. Everything from a teaspoon to the carpet to the bath and everything. And the prices were totally ridiculous. You know, this was 2003. I think a teaspoon to replace it was listed at something like £6 and so on. And we'd gone through the list and worked out that if we trashed and stole everything in there, it would cost us, I think, £36,000 to replace. Anyway, despite all that, the 2003 Auteca curated event had a stellar lineup. We saw Coil, we saw Sun Zero or Sun O, Aphex Twin did 2.5 hours, the Magic Band, Surgeon, The Fall, Soviet France. Brilliant lineup. But the one that I'm going to talk about here was a truly jaw-dropping experience.
What was it?
So the band were come.
Do you want to take 2 minutes and put your teeth back in?
It's funny. It's really funny you should say that. It's really funny you should say that, because one of the bands playing was The Fall, and Marquis Smith, God bless him, he struggled for the first song because his false teeth kept falling out, and he put them back in valiantly about 2 or 3 times before he just gave up and stuffed them in his pocket and carried them. I mean, that's punk. That is punk. But they're really good. But anyway, yes. So that's the band I'm going to talk about. They came on at 2:00 in the morning on the last day, and we'd all got pretty wasted. It'd been a long weekend, but me and one other, we got a bit chemicaled up and said, right, we'll leave you fucking lot here. We're off to see the Venetian Snares. And we went, and
Jeez.
God, the Venetian Snares at 2:00 in the morning after a long weekend, and they did about 2 hours, I think, and it was just jaw-dropping. You just walked into a bludgeoning of splinter beat, gabba, hardcore electronics that makes no fucking sense. There was a woman singing, but she could have been singing anything. She was singing a kind of pseudo operatic stuff, and the noise, the electronic noise, was just like an alien invasion. It was just like something you never ever come across before. I hadn't come across Venetian Snares before. I'd read about them, thought it sounded interesting, didn't really expect that. There were no discernible songs, no stops, no starts, no repartee. It was just this bludgeoning assault on all of your senses. We got back to the room, I think it was about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we had to get out by 8:30 that day and drive back. I can tell you that was a terribly traumatic experience, because I was driving. We drove into Hastings looking for something to eat, and it was like Dawn of the Dead, zombies or something. I don't really know how we got back home, but we did. Drive the 100 miles back, but it was a fantastic line. Like Sun Zero, Aphex Twin, they're absolutely brilliant. But the one that sticks out in my mind is just that was unreal. Was the Venetian Snares, and I bought a couple of Venetian Snares albums since, and it doesn't come close. I can't sit and listen to a Venetian Snares album. It doesn't make sense if you're not intoxicated and you're just sitting in your armchair listening to music. It only makes sense if you're zinging away and you're fried and frazzled in the first place, I think. But you get all of that combination right. Wow.
I know what you mean. I bought I think it's a Square Pusher.
Oh yeah.
album. and I really like Square Pusher.
Yeah.
But one of his older albums is just like it's just like someone broke the drum machine and put it on the wrong speed and that. And I just can't listen to the fucking thing. I just, I don't know what it is. I love a drum machine, don't get me wrong, but not a broken one. I don't think, and I do like I say, I do like Square Pusher.
Yeah, I mean, he does some
saner
stuff, Square Pusher.
But it was, but it just, I just can't do that.
I can't remember the name of the guy that is Venetian Snares, but it does sound like he's just locked in combat with his electronics rather than playing music. It sounds like it's getting the better of him. Because that same night, earlier on, Aphex Twin had done a couple of hours, and Aphex Twin, one might say, is similar in it's one guy with some electronics, but what Aphex Twin does just really comes together, and you've got your eyes closed, and it's really gets under your skin. Venetian Snares. Yeah, they were support.
That's his brother.
Venetian Snares is just like a fascinating, jaw-dropping, what the fuck kind of thing. But it would certainly stick in my mind.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so my next one is 1999.
Space.
No, Prince. No, not Prince. So 1999, and I came across Deserters Songs by Mercury Rev, and I kind of vaguely knew Mercury Rev as this noisy band from years before, and I'd never really, other than a couple of videos I'd seen. I think I saw the video for Something for Joey from Boches or the second LP, and then they released Deserter Songs, which was just a bit of a whoa, what the flipping heck is this? It was this kind of almost Americana, kind of country-ish, but with guitars in there as well, kind of squealing guitars every now and again, and they they advertised this gig at the UEA in Norwich, which is drivable from Cambridge area. So I thought I really want to see them. So we got ourselves tickets. I think I went with my ex-wife, who was I just started seeing her actually, and our friend Chris. So we piled into my old Vauxhall Astra, and we're hurtling down towards Norwich, and as we're going down there, I can't mind this because no one can see me, but I'm driving, and I can feel the car keeps creeping over to the left, and I couldn't work out what it was. And I kind of I'd take my hands off the wheel and it would lurch.
Oh,
and I was, what the heck? Couldn't work it. Chris was quite a portly bloke.
No.
And was sitting on the left of the car. And the suspension was so bad.
Oh dear,
He was tilting the car. I had to ask him to move over into the centre, and then we went in a straight line after that. But anyway, I digress. We got to.
He's probably not going to thank you for sharing that story.
I haven't seen him in about 20 years.
You will do after this goes out.
I probably will. Yeah, he'll come knocking at my. He'll probably be like 7 stone or something. So I'll be on a diet now. So we got to the UEA. Now the UEA is a lovely venue these days, and this was the first time I'd been to it since I think we'd seen Killing Joke there in about 83, 82, something. Yeah. And then in those days it was a shithole. I remember. Yeah. Well, the first time me and Neil had gone to see them the year before in 81 on the What's This For tour, and it was this kind of stinking hovel of a place. It was awful, but we got there for Mercury Rev, and it was all brand spanking new. It looked lovely. So the support band came on, and I thought, I know these guys. I've heard a couple of their LPs. what are they called? Oh, the Flaming Lips.
Oh, right.
Oh my God, that they were just about to release Race for the Prize.
Okay.
Was it Race for the Prize? Soft Bulletin. Sorry,
I think Race for the Prize is on the album.
That's the single, yeah. And obviously Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips had been in Mercury Rev at one point, and they were pals. So this was them relaunching themselves, I believe, and they'd gone on tour. Wow, what a show! Yeah. What a show that was. So we had Flaming Lips as a support band with Stephen the drummer drumming via video link because he'd been busted for heroin possession and couldn't travel to the UK. Wayne Coyne had just started using like the big hands and the blood and all the props on stage. They had a fucking great big gong as well, which they used a couple of times, and played pretty much the whole of the new album that, as I said, wasn't yet released, and a few oldies as well. And were amazing. It just blew us away. I think I'd only really heard the jelly one. She uses jelly.
I don't know that one. What's that?
Yeah, it was. I think it was that. Anyway. Yeah, absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And then Mercury Rev came on, and wow, it was just one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. The guitars could strip paint. They played mainly the new LP, the Deserter songs, and I think Funny Bird and Got Us on the Highway have both got like squalling guitar solos. And it was just a phenomenal concert. Okay. Phenomenal. I think they did a couple of old ones, but I think I can't remember what the set list was now. But also Holes, the first song on Deserter Songs, which is just one of the most amazing songs I've ever heard. I think they used to play it with a bowed saw.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of
for
thing.
Those without without the facility of video, I can tell you that Dave is doing impersonation of somebody with a saw who hasn't got a saw, bowing it and making pseudo saw theremin noises at the same time. Very unusual.
That makes a really bad ghost impression. And now the fucking cats are fighting.
Yeah, well, that kind of noise would do it.
I've got a white cacophony going on here. There's me playing the saw. The cats are fighting over there going...
yeah.
Yes, but what a gig. It was, I mean, I would rate that up there with one of the best gigs I've ever been to. It was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yes, and then we made our way home, and I think Mercury Rev, we saw them another couple of times. They played Cambridge Junction a couple of times after, and the Flaming Lips as well, actually, and amazing shows every time. In fact, Mercury Rev played last year, and I couldn't. I'd been to I was going to a couple of other gigs. I just couldn't afford to go to any more at that time, and it was coming up to Christmas as well, so. But yeah, they are still a great band, and Flaming Lips just went from strength to strength after that. I mean,
I think they're great. I've never terribly taken with Mercury Rev, but I think Flaming Lips are really good. I took my daughter to see Flaming Lips and my wife actually, and you're right. What a show! So much audience participation and the visuals and the big mechanical horse he was riding through the crowd, and it was just. Yeah, just bizarre.
Yeah. But it was. I think the beauty of it was it always looked. It was always looked brilliant, but it always looked like it'd been done on a budget, but really well on a budget. You know, there was no, oh look how fantastic it was. Like, look, we cobbled this together. Isn't it fun? And you go, yeah, it is. It's fucking brilliant. People coming on in bloody animal suits, and things like that, and him going over the crowd in a great big plastic
one of those
ball.
Big balls, he did that. Yeah,
absolutely amazing. Yeah, great
all
band.
Definitely the product of chemically enhanced minds.
Oh, has to be. Yeah, I did a trawl back through Flaming Lips old LPs as well, and And they're a great band. Even even the early stuff when it was just guitar noise and stuff like that. Same with Mercury Rev. I mean, Mercury Rev's first couple of LPs were amazing, absolutely amazing.
I think the Flaming Lips, as I might have mentioned on another episode, they've done some really weird records as well, records that are unplayable, intentionally so, and some unusual artifacts. So they are a strange bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that's my number 3.
Excellent.
Mercury Rev.
Okay, my number 3. Going back to 1986, it's only just looking at this now that kind of appreciate that 1986 must have been a bit of a vintage year. Because it's seen Faust in December, but this is going back a little further to May of 1986. It's Hammersmith Palais, like the Garage, a place we used to go to quite regularly, but is no longer there. And it was the Ramones, the Animal Boy tour. And what a fucking concert. The place was absolutely rammed. I don't know what the capacity was. I think it was about 2,500 or so. Absolutely rammed with punks who were high on anticipation and excitement because, fuck me, it's the Ramones. And I can't remember if there was a support band or not, but you know when the music drops and the DJ fades things out and everybody starts cheering, and then you get the Dam Busters theme tune, the March of the Dam Busters, and the cheering goes right up, and then Joey, Johnny, Dee Dee, Richie shamble onto the stage. They say nothing. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and off they go. And it's a non-stop barrage from there on in. They opened up with Durango 95, then Teenage Lobotomy. No repartee. Just as soon as one song finished, while the cymbal was still rattling and the chord was fading, Dee Dee would shout again, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're straight into the next one. Straight after, one after the other. It was so intense. And you know, every song, because of the way that the adrenaline and the excitement and the exhaustion was piling up, it seemed like every song was better than the last one. I think Johnny did say something briefly at some point, but there was no conversation or anything. And I think a lot of concerts, that would be disappointing. But for this, it was just totally right. Just one after the other, like a machine gun. It was fantastic. They did 2 encores, finished up with We're a Happy Family, and I think then they came out with the big Gabba Gabba Hey signs. They were on the stage, Gabba Gabba, we accept you, one of us. It was absolutely fried at the end of it because it'd just been non-stop, exhausted, battered, and we piled out at Hammersmith Palais. Everybody smiling because we'd just seen the Ramones, and we, the little march contingent, we piled into Andy Elmore's Grunty Mobile, his little hatchback, and rather than driving from London back up north to Cambridgeshire, we headed straight to Brighton, slept on the beach in Brighton, cuddled up to a 2-litre bottle of cider. Because Brighton Beach the next day, Psychic TV and Sonic Youth were playing on the beach. Now, as it happened, Psychic TV deeply disappointingly let me down and didn't turn up, and we just got sailed with an extra long Sonic Youth. Now, I was never a big fan of Sonic Youth, and because I was no, I wasn't. Ramones, unforgettable. There's quite a few bands that I've seen that can't ever play again because they're dead, or all of them are dead. The Ramones, I'm just fucking glad I got to see them because that was just incredible. Yeah.
The Ramones are one of my favourite bands of all time. I never got to see them, and I've always been a bit gutted about that. The first they played Cambridge in '79, and it was January, and there were some people from March were going, and I couldn't go because it was my sister's birthday. My fucking mum wouldn't let me go. She said, no, you can't go on your sister's birthday. I was like, you fucking cow. I was absolutely livid. So I couldn't see them. And then years later, they played Brixton Academy. And we had tickets. I was living in just outside Cambridge at the time. And we had tickets to see them, and there was a massive snowstorm, a blizzard, that on that, was it the day before or on that day, and they just said you can't drive, you will just get stuck, and so we couldn't go.
It's destiny, fate,
and yes, fate, you bastard. Yeah, so I never got to see that, never got to see Ramones, and after that I don't think there was really. I wanted to go to the. There was a big gig called The Longest Day at Milton Keynes, but as usual around those times I just couldn't get anyone to go with me, and because I didn't learn to drive until I was 30.
Did you not?
No, I took a test back in my teens and failed, and then just couldn't afford any lessons after that.
I didn't know that,
because we were all unemployed for ages, and then I went off and did my little armed forces stint.
Learned to drive a 32,000-ton destroyer instead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I could row a boat, but, and then and I never really bothered, because I never really needed a car at that time. Would have been handy for going to gigs, but it was just when I finally learned to drive, it was I was 30.
Oh, gosh.
So I couldn't get anywhere. So that was very. That contributed to a lot of the gigs I missed, was the being able to drive, and just having unreliable mates who were fucking lazier than me. And you go, should we go and see? Nah, can't be bothered. Nah, And you look back now on the gigs that you missed, because you just go, and you didn't bother.
Well, you always thought there'll be another opportunity, there'll be another gig, and you don't really think.
Absolutely.
Really think about what you're missing. There's always an alternative.
Yeah, but So that was that was one of the reasons why I didn't get to so many gigs, was just
you're making up for it now.
Limited budgets. The limited budgets we had as well. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've kind of been perpetually skint for most of my life, really.
Well, certainly was back then.
So
yeah.
So never really had the budget either. But
you're making up for it now, though.
Yes, well, I'm trying to. I think that's the main thing. While I can just about scrape. Scrape enough money together for tickets. I'm just kind of doing what I can and going to see as many as I can.
Why not?
Before my hearing totally goes. Before I accidentally see Dinosaur Jr. with no earplugs again and lose what's left of my hearing. Bastard. Damn you, Jay Maskis.
We always talk about the really noisy gigs we went to. I went to an incredibly quiet gig once. Went to, I can't remember if it was Sheffield or Manchester, to see something called Japanorama. And there were lots of artists that were playing like these no-input mixing desks. So you just hear the slight tonal squeaks of a mixing desk. It was very weird.
Fuck me.
But no instruments.
When you say quiet... that's not even quiet. That's beyond quiet. It was beyond quiet.
At times you didn't know whether a performance was taking place or somebody was just sitting there twiddling knobs. But it's just a mixing desk that creates no sound with nothing plugged into it. It was a weird one. And
the next I went to see the squeaky wheel.
Is that a hamster I hear? Oh, God. Right.
Yeah. The tumbleweed band.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so my number 4. Don't quite know where to start with number 4.
Oh, intriguing.
Yeah, well, it's more of a... it's a story of a band, really. And the band
the rules.
The band being Slowdive.
Right, okay.
Who were the first time I saw them was 1991, I think. They were supporting Ride at the Corn Exchange. They're great. I always loved Slowdive. I thought I've always been a bit of a shoegaze fan. I just love the guitars, more of which shortly. But just that whole the way they constructed a song and the way they reached those guitar heights, but they kind of were just a bit derided, really, and I always felt a bit bad for them. And they made 3-4 LPs. They did Pygmalion and Souvlaki and the first LP, name which escapes me. Was it Catch the Breeze or was it just Slow Dive? Whatever.
I'm surprised that you think they were derided, because I always remember them being quite lauded. And
they were, but as it went on, they just kind of became this whipping post, really. As
shoegaze went out of kind of fashion.
Yeah, and Pygmalion came out. Pygmalion was more of an ambient album, really, and Brian Eno was involved in it as well. And they kind of just died a bit of a slow death, really. And
slow dive.
Exactly, a slow death. And just kind of withered away, really. And then towards the, in the early 2000s, I bought I think I've mentioned this before. I bought a compilation on More Records out of Germany, and it was lots and lots of electronic bands covering slow dive, and I thought that's really heartening, because they were such a good band and they didn't deserve to be to just be lost in history. And as time went on, people just started to admit we were really influenced by slow dive. They were a great band, and you kind of felt justified in your fandom for them. And then in the early 2010s, they reformed, played a few gigs, and have released 2 cracking LPs. And I saw them again at The Cure's 40th anniversary gig, and then and they were great, but then we went to see them. I went with my friend Gary. We went to see them at the Troxy in 2023 in London. And oh my goodness me, it was like, if they'd have been doing what they did there in the 90s, they'd have just wiped the floor with everybody. They'd have been enormous. I mean, as it happens, they're getting quite enormous again now. They've been touring the world. They got this weird following on TikTok as well.
Weird in what way?
In the teenagers were snipping little bits of their lyrics and putting them to other videos, and they became a TikTok trend. They're massive on TikTok. In fact, there's a really good interview with their bass player, and he's talking about his daughters. His daughter having no interest in what he did for a living, and then all of a sudden, all of her mates are listening to Slow Dive on TikTok and going, "Oh, slow," and she's like, "Dad, is your band Slow Dive?" And now she's like, all of her mates want to know who he is. But we went to see them at the Troxy, and it was just it was kind of one of those life affirming moments, and you seeing a band that you love, and you're seeing them doing their thing, and they've got the visuals to match the noise now. They've got the PA to match it. They've got the instruments, they've got the equipment to do what that vision was of slow dive music. And it's just phenomenal. The whole, the visuals are amazing. And that
is that light show, is it, or something else going on?
There's light show, there's video projections at the back of the stage. And those songs just build into these crescendos of what's the word, the sort of sonic cathedrals of sounds. Was the quote, wasn't it?
It was.
But it is, and the whole experience now is just so, it feels life changing. It's that kind of thing where those waves of guitar hit you, and it's just wraps you up, and you just get that feeling that if you put your arms out, you'd float away. It's that good. And I love them. I've seen them a couple of times recently. In fact, I've seen them 3 times in the last couple of years, and it is just phenomenal. It's a positively life affirming moment, hearing especially When the Sun Hits, and just the end where this it just builds and builds. There's this massive crescendo, as I said, and you just I could go to a gig and just listen to that for an hour. Just that whole. Yeah. Just the way it makes me feel, just that and hairs on the back of your neck sensation, the tingle, this is why I love fucking music. This is why I listen to music, just for that feeling,
Uh-huh.
And so that gig at Troxy was just superb. It really was. I mean, you just left with a bounce in your step, but it was quite wonderful. Well, it was quite wonderful. Yeah, it was, and the song was, When the Sun Hits, and the others from Slovakia are equally, anthemic from a shoegaze point of view. And the newer stuff is just, I mean, they've made a couple of albums since they got back together that are amongst the best stuff they've ever done. So I mean, I thoroughly recommend going to see them. Even if you're a bit kind of, I don't know, a bit wary of shoegaze or something, it's just that feeling, is just phenomenal, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's why we do this music thing. This is why we do this podcast. This is why we. Why we listen to music anyway. It's just because every now and again, I mean, I love music. I love all music. I'll listen to all music. But every now and again, you get that feeling when you hear a song and you're like, yeah, that's the fucking one. That's the one.
Good music has got to move you. It's got to move your soul somehow. It's got to deeper than your ears.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so there you go. Number 4,
okay.
Slow Dive of the Troxy 2023.
Okay, my number 4.
I should just add that Troxy is the most annoying fucking place to get to.
I was going to ask you, actually, funnily enough, when you first mentioned it, but I was waiting for you to finish, then I forgot, because I've not been to the Troxy. Yeah. Where is that then?
Well, you have to go, well, it's kind of Whitechapel that way, but okay. It's down the end of a long street, so the only way to get there is to go on the tube to Bank and then get on the DLR.
Right.
And it's just a bit of a faff, It's like getting to Hackney is a bit of a faff as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything that involves the overground, which is it's all great in London, but it's when you're spoilt with a train every 2 minutes with the underground, and all of a sudden you have to go overground like a fucking womble, It's just a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake. And it's the inconvenience. And it's not, but it just feels like an inconvenience. But Troxy is a lovely venue.
I've never been to the Troxy, no. I've only, of all the hundreds of times I've been to London to see bands, I've only ever been on the train once.
Okay.
And that time, I think it was the Newtown Neurotics, and we ended up sleeping on King's Cross Station because there wasn't a train until like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was underneath a bench. I bet you can't even do that anymore. They wouldn't let you on to sleep under a bench on the platform, I shouldn't think.
Well, you don't really need to, because the trains are that frequent now. I mean, I travel from Huntingdon because that's my nearest station, and I can drive there I can get there in 10 minutes in the car, in the evenings at 10 or maybe 15. Park up, lovely big car park. I can get on the train from Huntingdon. I can get to St Pancras in an hour. And then you've got the whole of London, even though it's a war zone at the moment.
Of course, if you believe the press.
Fucking dickheads, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get around.
I always used to drive.
The inconvenience of going over. But yeah, that's my preferred method, because there are trains home for me until, I think the latest one is 12:46. And if you're going to go to a gig and then miss a train at 12:46, you're a bit of a twat, really.
But I don't actually know if we knew what time the trains were coming back when we elected to take a train to London for that particular concert. I don't know if we missed the last train or just didn't know when the last train was. I remember
last trains usually stopping around about 11 o'clock. which was one of the reasons, because I would drive down. My sister used to live in Stanmore, and we'd drive down to Stanmore and park there, and then get the Jubilee line in.
Right.
But now if you go down, the fucking ULEZ gets me every time because my car's an old banger.
Yeah.
And so that's 12 quid a time.
Ooh, dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I used to always drive as either Tim driving his Mini with it all crammed in, or I'd drive the horse rotavator, which was more often than not. We'd go in the horse rotavator. My old matte black Mazda.
I've heard tell of the horse rotavator.
The horse rotavator, yes, it was a cool car because it just painted the whole thing matte black, and then big white letters down each side with a paintbrush painted horse rotavator. And I can remember getting stopped once on the way back from London by the police at about 3:00 in the morning. They pulled us over.
Sting and Andy Summers was.
Synchronicity. Yeah. And they pulled us over. They said, "Don't worry,
you don't have to drive that car at night. I'll pull you over."
I said, look, mate, we're not worried about you driving or anything like that. But me and my colleague here, we just wondered, what the hell is horse rotavator? And I explained to them that it was the machine that was fashioned from the jaws of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and what it was all about. And they looked a bit puzzled and said, "Okay, right, off you go." But it's a good car. Good car. Okay. Slightly different tack here, because this was.
I love it when you have a slightly different tack. I know.
Slightly different.
I know.
Tack.
I'm going to sit here going, "What the fuck? What's he talking about?"
Oh, no, this was an unusual one because I'd read about this in the Guardian. This was 1998, and I'd read about it in the Guardian, and it was a theatrical performance, a play with live music by a band called the Tiger Lilies, who I'd never heard of before. But it was at the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith, and just reading about it, I thought, this sounds fascinatingly macabre and gruesome and weird. So I convinced the missus, we're going down to London for the day, spend the night over there, we're going to see this thing. And the play was Der Struwelpeter, which is a German book by Heinrich Hoffmann, but translates to Shock-Headed Peter. And this was a kid's book written in 1845, and it's got 10 stories in it, cautionary stories, where in each of these little vignettes, a child is told what to do, they don't behave, and they end up getting killed in a gruesome way.
See, that is parenting. Yeah, should have been much more of that. If you don't eat your carrots, that's instant death.
But it's that kind of thing. There's one called Snip Snip, and a kid wouldn't stop sucking his thumb. So his mum and dad say, "Stop sucking your thumb or else." And he sucks his thumb as soon as the back's turned. And this demonic creature comes along with a pair of shears and cuts off his thumbs, and he bleeds to death. So there were wonderful children's stories in Germany in 1845, undoubtedly. But The thing was put together by the band the Tiger Lilies, and they created and produced this. Very dark humour indeed. So you got the Tiger Lilies playing the soundtrack that they created for this play that they created. And it was really one of the finest pieces of theatre I've ever seen on its own. But the music, I don't know if you're familiar with the Tiger Lilies.
I'm not, no. I must admit.
Very unusual, but it fitted this perfectly. But the band, they were formed in 1989, and they do this weird, macabre 19th century avant-garde operatic junk cabaret type thing, heavily influenced by Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill. Leader Martin Jacks has got this cracked falsetto kind of singing voice, which is like a drunk opera singer type person. And he's all made up.
Would you like to attempt it and give us a demonstration of what it...
Even thinking about it hurt my throat. I did momentarily contemplate it there.
I could see your face. I could see your face going, should I do it? I think I might die.
No, I can't. It's this cracked falsetto. They got stand-up bass and Adrian Hughes on percussion and drums. And they'd written this album, Shock-Headed Peter, for the thing. And there's part of its narration and part of its singing. These little scenes, these little vignettes of children dying horrifically, and music which was about.
So it's a comedy then.
Definitely, but then it was done with a kind of dark humour. So I found it absolutely enthralling, absolutely fascinating, absolutely magical. My wife thought it was the most utterly appalling garbage she'd ever seen.
Oh, poor old Rachel. How could you?
She hated it completely. And to be honest, I kind of knew she was going to hate it before I took it down. I still took it down there. Hey, it was nominated for 5 Olivier Awards. But still, I still remember it now. As I do like the theatre. And I go.
What, Laurence Olivier or Steve Olivier, the picture?
It was great. It was great. I still remember it. I do like a bit of theatre, and I go to the theatre occasionally, but that is probably the finest thing I've seen. They had a stall in the foyer selling Tiger Lily's albums, and I think the fact that I immediately bought 3 of them puzzled even the people that were selling them. I don't think they expected to sell it.
They thought you'd be after the fake child limbs. The bloody stumps of children's legs. We'll have 2 of them.
Yeah. It was fascinating performance, fascinating. Incidentally, there's a band called Shock-Headed Peters that nearly made it to one of my favourite songs.
Yes, I know. Do you know, funny enough, I got there was a message on our Facebook page today. Someone had been looking at our had listened to the last, I think it was the last episode we did.
Okay.
And it was a guy called Lee Pickard, and he said that when we were talking last week about Low Gold, we should do one about bands who should have been big but never were, which I thought was a really good. Yeah, that would be a really good one to do. That would need some real thought.
Oh no, it wouldn't, because there'd just be 5 bands that I'd been in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's cheating. They're never going to be on fucking Spotify, are they?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth having to think about.
5 bands that you weren't in that should have been big. I mean, I suppose that would really have to be kind of bands who did make the chart, but never quite as, or did kind of make a semblance of big time.
So it's going to be bands that you believe subjectively are underrated.
Who should have been big. You'd have to put some kind of some rules in place for it, I think.
We have to think about it. Stick it on the list with the others, and it'll come up. But so put that on up.
The list of the others that I've lost.
Have you? Oh, I've got a list of some we haven't used yet that have either been suggested or things that I've come up with. So we'll have to get our heads together and see where we go to next. But so on the playlist, I'm going to put forward a Tiger Lilies track, but I put I Blood Brothers' £4,000 Love Letter on by Shock-Headed Peters as well, just because it's a decent way to get that in, and it's a great song.
Yeah, I remember Shock-Headed Peters. That was a long while ago, wasn't it? What was that, 80s?
Yeah, latter 80s,
90s?
Latter 80s.
I've just thought of a band.
Carl Blake from the Lemon Kittens, and Daniela Dax and Sol Invictus and Current 93 was the leader. And the thing with Blood Brothers, it was very, very overtly about gay people, so it might not suit the narrow-minded. And the video, if you see the video, is even less subtle, to be honest.
Fair play.
Not for the narrow-minded, but a great song and a great band. So
yes. Well, we hate the narrow-minded, so they can fuck off anyway. So
indeed.
Okay, so is it me now?
It is you for your number 5.
It is me for my number 5. Number 5, we're going back into the distant future.
Ooh. Back into the distant future?
Of 24 hours ago. When I
still not the future.
The distant past, sorry. Did I say future?
You said the distant future. And you stuck with it.
The distant past. I did, yeah. That's because...
Man living his life backwards.
My brain doesn't work properly. But anyway, 24 hours into the distant past. And last night, I finally got to see, after years and years and years, My Bloody Valentine.
Another shoegazy type thing.
Another shoegazy type thing in a totally different vein than Slowdive, which is kind of why I put them in, because I mean I'm a huge My Bloody Valentine fan. I think they're fucking genius. I remember buying Sunny Sunday Smile, which I think was their first ever single when that came out, and that was around the time of, all the fuzzy pop bands,
Fuzzy.
going on from like Jesus Mary Chain. They discovered
fuzzy.
that feedback was cool, and started making like fuzz pop, really.
Fuzzy
it's people like My Bloody Valentine and all the Subway bands on the Subway label. The Flatmates, the Fizz Bombs, all the kind of C86 crowd, and My Bloody Valentine were amongst them. And around that time, they actually played the Portland Arms.
Yeah.
But around that time, I didn't even know the Portland Arms fucking existed, to be perfectly honest, which is my excuse for not going. They then, in a strange quirk of fate, played Cambridge Corn Exchange in 1991, and I fucking missed it. I had absolutely no idea they were on, because that was how it was back in, you either saw bands were playing or you didn't. And weirdly, one of the their support bands were the God Machine and Mercury Rev.
Oh, again.
Mercury Rev playing their pretty much their first ever gigs,
right,
in anywhere. They happened to come over to England and supported My Bloody Valentine. And as legend has it, they did something like a 21-minute version of You Made Me Realise, 18 minutes of which was just them going with their guitars.
That won't translate to just the audio, because all you said that they were just doing with their guitars.
Sorry, I was miming guitars.
He was miming
guitars. Strumming their guitars and going etc, etc.
I'm not sure what that noise is.
I then bought all of their records or CDs. I think we'd moved on to CDs after a while. Had all their CDs. Still missed them every time they played. I then had a ticket to see them in, I think, 2011, and a friend of mine convinced me that I should sell my ticket and go with him to see Foo Fighters at Wembley Stadium.
Dear.
And stupidly I did, and it was one of the shittest gigs I've ever been to, and I regret it. So last night I finally went to see My Bloody Valentine at the Wembley Arena. And I have spoken about this I did an Instagram video today, and my record of choice was Loveless. And I gave a quick resume of what happened, but I can't tell you, Jay, it was the noisiest fucking gig I've ever been to. They came out, Jay Maskis supported, and made loads of noise with a bloody acoustic guitar. So I had my proper, as recommended by Mogwai Roadies, earplugs in.
Alpine.
But they came out, and the first guitar note, I gasped. It was so fucking loud. I gasped, and we were then pummeled for almost 2 hours, and it was one of the most glorious things I've ever seen in my life, and heard and felt to the very core of my being. That noise was just phenomenal. I mean, saying it was turned up to 11 doesn't do it justice. 111 maybe. I mean, I know there are limits to the amount of decibels you can put on. You can go up to
before your head explodes.
And I reckon they must have been about a millionth of a decibel off the legal limits. By the time they got to the end and they played You Made Me Realise with at least 6 to 7 minute noise Holocaust guitar bit in the middle, where it was just almost white noise coming out the speakers, the silly fuckers who were standing around me who hadn't put earplugs in, some of actually had their fingers in their ears. It was that loud.
Right.
You know, I recorded some bits of video, and the sound on my video comes across quite well. You can tell how loud it is, but it was like, it was so noisy that it was like those, you know, we've talked about radio transmission before and how little bits of voices come through. And it was kind of like that. You know, the tunes were there. You could pick them up. They were like ghostly transmissions and ghostly vocals just breaking through this wall of noise. It was something else. It truly was. I was very reluctant to go and see them at Wembley Arena because I fucking hate Wembley Arena. But it was phenomenal, and I've seen a lot of reviews of it on my Bloody Valentine Facebook page today, and everyone was saying the same thing, that it was so brutally loud but fabulous. Even Thurston Moore was there and gave them a write up on his Instagram page. It was what going to gigs is all about. You know, it was almost transcendent when at one point there was just you and the noise and there was nothing else. You know, there was nothing else. You were aware of people on stage, you were aware of people around you, but the noise was so all-encompassing, even with fucking earplugs in. You know, that just took those top notes that caused the really bad ringing. And it was like, you know, I think if they'd have put that extra decibel on, we'd have all gone back in fucking time or something and ended up in the Jurassic period and been eaten by fucking dinosaurs. I swear to God, it was that fucking loud. You know, you thought Santa Pod was bad.
It can't have been as bad as Santa Pod.
Fuck me, I don't know. It probably wasn't, but it was getting there. Do you remember Ian Wood? We used to know a guy called Ian Wood from school.
Yeah.
Woody, yeah. We were good at nicknames, weren't we? Yeah, he said today, "Oh, can't have been as loud as Slipknot." Yes, it was, Woody. It was just a different kind of noise. It was like, it wasn't, you know, there was a musicality to it, but at the same time, there was just this pummeling fucking denseness, like watching a horror film where a black ooze is coming from hell and just about to envelop you, but around the side there are angels. It's that kind of thing. It was some kind of trip amazing. On it. It was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience. Evidently. I'm really glad. I'm kind of glad. I think if I'd gone to see them back in 1991 at the Cornish, I'd probably be fucking deaf by now. So you know, I've you know, been reading a few old reviews and people saying, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to subject people to this kind of volume. You know, because that's what it's about. It's about the music and it's about the construction of the music, but it's also about the power. You know, it's about the noise. The noise is kind of a byproduct of that, you know, because everything's so shimmery, Loveless especially is so shimmery and lovely that noise is just offsets the shimmery loveliness. You know, it's like the dark heart of the Black Valentine's music.
The dark heart of the Black Ooze. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so I think I've got a reasonable picture of the fact that it was loud, and
it was beyond fucking loud, mate. I swear, it was beyond loud. It was yeah. It was quite an experience, and I'm really fucking glad I finally got to see them as well.
Still buzzing, evidently.
Yeah. Good. I think the nearest thing I can remember is I saw Sonic Youth in I think about '88 on the Daydream Nation tour, and that was not quite in this league, but there were people was just dropping. It was so fucking loud and so intense. People just like I'm pretty sure they actually had St John's ambulance people there, and every now and again you'd see these fucking people running through the crowd because some poor fucking been overcome by the racket and had just keeled over, and they're pulling people out. My girlfriend at the time fainted as well.
Oh my
right
God.
at the end.
Okay.
You know, it was so intense. But this was a.
I think with Sonic Youth, it's probably boredom because I saw them and all they seemed to do was be tuning up and fucking about, the bastards, and not being psychic TV.
I love Sonic Youth. So fuck off. But anyway, that's another my fifth great gig. My Bloody Valentine last night.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
My fifth one is Public Image Limited, Sheffield Corporation, June 2011. I'd seen them first time around 1983, again Hammersmith Palais, and that was fucking awesome. Jar Wobble, Keith Levine, Johnny, they're all the original bunch. Saw them again in 2009 at Manchester Academy. It was more like a bunch of session musicians in a giant warehouse just playing greatest hits, but they did play all the greatest hits for about 2.5 hours, so it was good. But the 2011 Sheffield Corporation gig was different to both of those because Sheffield Corporation is a smaller place. I think it's got, I don't know what the capacity is, 800 or something like that. Feels more like a pub.
All right.
And the big thing this time round was it was the first gig I'd got both my kids with me. And, you know, they were both Pill fans, one of those few bands that we all liked. We went off to Sheffield and it was a great set. It was really felt intimate, but me and my daughter, who I think was 22 at the time, my son who was 18, were right at the front, crashing around in the pit. And there's something very special about being at a great gig with your kids and you're all down there dancing and picking each other up and knocking each other over along with everybody else. Not so much, I mean, obviously Jar Wobble and Keith Levine weren't there anymore, but it was not so much a session musician kind of thing because the band were getting established as a band now, and they did all the greats, Pop Tones, Death Disco, Religion, Memories, and so on. So it was a great set. But for me, I mean, there's not a lot to say about it other than it was a really magical moment with my kids because it was the first time that I've been to a gig with them both, and I haven't been to a gig with them both together. I've been to gigs with Samantha and I've been to gigs with Matthew since, but I've never been to a gig with both of them because Public Image Limited was one, as I say, of the few gigs that we all wanted to go and see together. So, you know, I've been to see Killing Joke and The Damned with my son. My daughter didn't want to see those. I've been to see Flaming Lips and whoever else with my daughter. My son didn't want to see those. So it's kind of like that was a special moment. All in the melee. Actually, I think we all did get to see one of the concerts. We all went to see the Spaghetti Western Orchestra together, I think. I can't remember, but they were younger then. It's a great gig, not any other reason than it was magical. So there we go.
Yeah. That's as good a reason as any, to be honest.
I think so.
I think I've taken both girls to one gig, and that was a fucking disaster for reasons I won't go into.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the only time I've ever taken them both. I've taken Lily to see. Lily came with me to see Mogwai.
Okay.
And kind of enjoyed it. And I've been with her to see Billie Eilish and Clairo and various other people. Annie, I took Annie to see Lord. I've taken Annie to see Mitski. You know, but not together. I took
my daughter to see Discharge, and from what I can remember, she was
awesome.
she was highly concerned about me being an old guy getting thrown around at the front and then ending up on stage with a mic in my hand and then getting off.
Yeah, well, you're at that age where you don't fall, you have a fall. You see, so and if you had a fall at a Discharge gig, you'd be fucked. Your hips would never be the same.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. Okay, so that wraps up our picks for this episode. What are we doing next time, Dave?
I fucked if I can remember, to be honest.
I will tell you then.
Go on.
It's our review of 10 great albums from 2025.
Yes. So we'll have to set ourselves a limit of 2 minutes each, probably.
That is almost.
Is that
almost
will that
definitely
work? 20, 40? No, 3 minutes. 3 minutes each.
That'll never happen.
I don't know, because some of them will be ones we did previously, so we can skirt by them a tiny bit, and then if we can concentrate on the newer ones that we haven't spoken about yet.
I'll be honest. I've done my list of 10, and I didn't need to, or intentionally avoided the ones I've talked about already.
Oh right. Well, so you got 10 brand new albums.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. So in effect, everything from the beginning of the year was shit.
No, not at all. Either there were records from the beginning of the year that I didn't include in that first list,
Okay.
or they were great records that I just thought, well, I've already talked about that one, and whilst I can just say to tick a box, number 3 is Stereolab, or whatever, and then move on. There doesn't seem a lot of point. If you're not going to say something about a record, what is even the point of mentioning it?
Yeah, true. So, well, in that case, we could probably do 10 great albums from the second part of the year, and then just run through a list of the top 10 at the end. Do a countdown. At 10 for Jake, it's something really obscure and noisy that you've never heard of before. At 10 from Dave, it's something poppy that you wouldn't really associate with him, but he's just thrown in there just to keep you happy, or I don't know, whatever.
But maybe, I don't know. But I think whatever way you look at it, if we
do, I reckon I just did the best top 10 countdown music ever. I reckon that was pretty spot on, actually.
You didn't do it solo. If there are any young people listening, and I don't think there are, because it seems to be mainly people around our age who listen to this, they'll be going, what the fuck are they doing? Not realising that music was synonymous with top 10 countdowns when we were kids. Absolutely.
When we were kids, when there were rations and blackouts and Kaiser Wilhelm.
Well, there were blackouts, definitely. I don't know about the rationing. The rationing was just because of poverty.
Yes,
there were blackouts in the 70s and melting roads in the sunshine, all kinds of weird things that children just wouldn't understand.
Absolutely.
These
Yes,
days.
that's the weird thing about life, isn't it? You speak to people our age and they go, "What 70s? Oh, they were brilliant. We had great fun." Yeah, because you were kids. If you're an adult in the 70s, it was shit.
Miserable.
Just like being an adult these days is shit. Just because we're fucking adults, we have to do adult things. Bloody kids, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the kids of the day today, though, are having quite the fun and abandon that we had. They don't seem quite so relaxed and chilled.
They are fucking miserable. I've got to answer. Yeah. But that's what social media does for you. That's a fucking cesspool of degradation, isn't it?
Thank God we didn't have any of that.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not always on Instagram posting videos and getting people to listen to our podcast.
You're a brave little soldier for doing what you do, putting yourself out on the front line.
Oh dear, we got such a I got an American lady commented today and said because I've a lot of the videos I've commented on how being 60 shouldn't stop you from listening to anything, and she said something about you may be 60, but over here your accent is considered so hot, and I was like,
oh, what? Good grief.
Excuse me, I'll be on the next plane out there. Hello, yes, I'm Dave from England. Jolly good show.
Jolly good show. You're going to say jolly good show.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Oh, good grief!
Yes,
yeah.
That was.
I know, but people play these online games, adults who play these online games, and they kind of meet up and get it on around the world and stuff. It's a weird kind of pseudo dating thing as well as games.
I have no idea. I'm aware of these games. Let me jot this down. Being a single man, I'm looking for love.
I don't know. I hear these things. So, I just don't want to. I don't want to go into social media in any way, shape, or form.
Well, do you know, Hannah keeps telling me. Hannah, my friend from work, keeps telling me that the Instagram page that I kind of do for us is where I will meet my next paramour. And it's like
right, okay.
quite possibly if they weren't all in fucking America, your English accent is so hot. Yes, but you went fucking America.
Yeah, Donald wouldn't let you in. Donald wouldn't let you in. I'm sure you're far too left wing.
What I need is some female English mogwai fan going, "Hey up, your southern accent's so sexy." And I'll be going, "Hello." Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, it happens. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things happen. Here you are putting yourself out in front of the public. Who knows what will happen. Your big moustaches glowing in the sunshine.
It's quite, I think if I sat down and actually thought about 500,000 people watching a video I've made talking about a record, I would quite possibly shit my pants. So I try very hard not to imagine, that's like fucking 6, 10 Wembley stadiums almost full of people.
Yeah.
It's
but all I'd say is that kind of publicly saying that you have a propensity for shitting your pants is unlikely to win you too many fans.
I might get a sponsorship from Tenor. So every fucking cloud. I'm trying my hardest to get every time I post a video. I'm doing the app and tagging in Autofon because I really need a new stylus for my record player and I can't fucking afford it, and no one's taking the hint. No one's saying Autofon, if you're listening, I just want a Autofon red. They're 60 quid and I fucking just don't have the ready cash at the moment. So if you want to send me one, please do. I can supply you the address details.
Well, how many listeners have we got now? So surely somebody out there knows somebody who works at Autofon.
On listeners to the podcast, we have somewhere in the region of 2,000 listeners per episode now, which is ridiculous. Okay. And on Instagram, we currently have 55,500 followers, which is actually more than most of our favourite bands as well. It's so embarrassing. So yeah, 55,500. That's of this minute, and it just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. I really enjoy doing the videos because it's really good fun. And I don't take myself too seriously. Look at me. Do I look like am I in a position to take myself too seriously? I have had a few disparaging remarks from people, and I have to kind of say, I'm not serious. When I say you have immaculate taste or whatever it is, I'm joking. It's just tongue in cheek. But some people take these things so seriously. It is quite, it is a bit disconcerting from time to time. But it's good. It is good fun, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I still haven't been recognised in the street and asked for a selfie, which is most annoying. So that's a bit of a downer. And no call as yet from I'm a Celebrity for next year's edition. So wankers.
Okay.
Right. So that's that for this week. That's some of our favourite gigs that we've enjoyed over the years. I thought that was quite entertaining. I hope you all do as well. We've had a laugh anyway, if nothing else.
Yeah, indeed. That's all that matters.
Yes, absolutely. So we will be back probably in a week or so, dependent on how much babysitting Jake has to do with his grandson.
It's not all babysitting.
Yeah, and so thank you very much for listening. Oh, I have to say hello to DJ Substance and Brooklyn Pete from the Greatest Playlist Ever, because they always mention us. And once you've listened to this podcast, I thoroughly recommend you go and listen to theirs, because it's very, very good. And they have some cracking tunes on there. And they say nice things about us as well. So DJ Shit Pump and MC Crabstick.
That's it. I bet they don't struggle to remember who they are every single
They
week.
fucking don't. No, they have AI. They have AI titles as well. Some woman's voice saying, "Hi, welcome to," and it's like, oh fucking hell, we should just do that. We should do the whole fucking thing with AI. It'd be a whole bloody easier. We wouldn't be forgetting everything. I would have a script that made sense. I'd probably finish a sentence. You'd maybe tell a funny joke. No, probably not. But
No.
so I think it would be a whole lot more professional. Oh dear.
Yeah. Never mind.
Yes.
Never mind. One day.
But anyway, yes. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Yeah.